Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 254.
On today's episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, hosted by Bruce Hutchin, we're going to visit with Matt Pell. Now, Matt has invented the AccuBow. He's the founder and CEO, and yeah, he's 25 years old, but this guy's got game. He's been bow hunting since he's 12 years old. And what he's very passionate about is inventing stuff for whitetail hunting. He loves to bow hunt, specifically archery, and either with a compound or traditional bow. And he's heavy into being physically fit so his body and his mind can stand up to the rigors of all-day sits waiting for Mr. Wonderful. Matt Pell brings some very interesting information, and he's going to share with you how you can stay in top flight condition and be bow ready and deer ready throughout the year. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. Hey, listeners, don't forget to text 33444 Food Plot for your free Food Plot ebook. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin, and I'm headed out to Illinois, and I'm going to connect with Matt Pell. Matt's out there, and Matt's quite the entrepreneur at 25 years old. He's founded and is the CEO of AccuBow. Matt,
hey, what's up, Bruce?
To the show. Hey, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm glad Nancy Joe got us in touch, and I'm always interested in new innovation that's helping us all be better archers, no question about it. And that's what we want to talk about, but we also want to talk about being fit for hunting. And I don't care if it's just walking out to that same stand you've been walking out to, quarter mile across the farm, or getting into some good stuff like I just did 22 days in the mountains chasing sheep with a bow. So where do you want to start out? You want to start out just with how you founded AccuBow?
Sure. I can give a little short synopsis of AccuBow's timeline, and then we can dive into how it should benefit us all to be the best hunters that we can be, whether it's with the weapon that we're using or it's so that we can, make it through a challenging hunt. Like you said, you were just out west and burning a lot of calories on a day-to-day basis. And, after time, that has an effect on your ability to harvest whatever animal you're after. So, getting back to what I originally said, AccuBow was started pretty much exactly a year ago to this day. I launched the product on Kickstarter, and if you're not familiar with what Kickstarter is, it's a crowdfunding website where inventors go and they launch their product. They launch the idea because the product itself hasn't taken manifestation yet. And so I launched the idea in a concept stage with a prototype I built in my garage. And the project was successfully funded, the first successfully funded archery product on Kickstarter. I will say it's not necessarily the perfect target market for the bow hunting and archery community, but it worked out, and we've taken it from a long ways from the bottom up, and we've been featured on a few television shows so far, and it's really just growing and gaining in popularity. We've been really busy the last month or so. Now that hunting season's getting underway and people are, knocking the cobwebs off their bow and stuff, and realizing they actually have to get ready for the upcoming season. And so things have picked up a lot, and it's exciting, man. The AccuBow itself, what it does is it provides everyone, whether you're a beginner or an expert in the sport of archery, with a way of supplementing the time and the money and the effort that you spend firing arrow after arrow after arrow, in order to increase your physical capacity to shoot with your bow better. Now, as bow hunters and archers, we all know that our ability to be effective with our bows is largely determined by our physical capabilities, such as our strength, our stability, our stamina, our muscle memory, our ability to repeat our shot time after time with the same form, same consistency, same routine, and that's how we get those tight arrow groups. And so, with that being said, what the AccuBow allows you to do is adjust the resistance from 10 to 70 pounds very simply through what we call our AccuDial. And we've also built in a laser sight on the front of it, which gives you that interactive stability response and allows you to mimic the same feel of holding a pin on your target, but instead you're able to see exactly what that pin would be doing as that laser bounces around on your target. So now, if you can picture this, if we can effectively hone in that laser to be more stable around our target, what that's going to translate into is being able to hold our pin more steadily over our target for longer periods of time, thusly translating into greater accuracy and tighter arrow groups as you continue to train with the AccuBow.
Now, are laser sights legal in every single state?
The AccuBow itself does not shoot arrows, Bruce. So what it does is it provides you with an at-home, on-the-go. You could train anywhere with the AccuBow. Whenever you have 5-10 minutes of time, whenever it's convenient for you, the AccuBow is an arrowless training device. And so you can dry fire the AccuBow as many times as you'd like. It'll never damage the product. And so that allows you to work on your release while you're building your strength, as well as going through the routine of holding on your target and improving that stability and your stamina.
So instead of having to set up targets 60 yards, 70 yards out, I could have taken the AccuBow and I could have got my same muscle memory and everything, doing that quicker than taking the time after the hunt, before the hunt. Well, 3 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, I'm not going to practice my bow. So if you found some time during the day, an extended hunt like I am, that probably would have helped.
Yeah, it's really it's user it's tailored to the user and it's user specific. So, for example, your situation may be a little bit different than somebody else's. Let's say that's living in the city and, an archery range isn't necessarily always the easiest thing to access. Maybe you have to drive 30 minutes away to go to an archery range. Maybe you can't just hop out in your backyard and you've already got a range set up, ready to rock. Maybe it's like you said, you've got a busy schedule and, come 3 a.m., do you really want to go outside and set up a spotlight and try to shoot your bow? This allows you to more conveniently supplement the time that is convenient for you when it is convenient to go to the range and shoot your bow and practice. That's obviously a necessity. You have to do that, no doubt about it. But, it's not always the most effective way. Shooting with your bow is not always the most effective way of improving your physical capacity. So I'll relate it to this. Everybody in the MLB, they take batting practice, right? And that's great and all. But when they're not taking batting practice, they're also at the gym because they know that they can only hit a baseball so far, or you can only hit a golf ball so far, or you can only throw a football so far. How are you going to be able to throw it further or more accurately? Yeah, you have to spend time actually doing whatever it is that activity is. But if you really want to increase your capabilities, you have to train. And going back to what I said, doing that with your bow isn't necessarily the most effective way. And that's twofold. If you're shooting a compound bow, you're pulling back, let's say you're pulling back 70 pounds, right? You're maxed out. Well, okay, that 70 pounds with an 80% let off, or 70% let off or 90% let off, whatever it is, you're really only holding about anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds at full draw resistance, right? So you're not necessarily, your muscles really aren't under a whole lot of strain at that point. Now, if we could put our muscles under greater strain than that in a similar fashion, then the next time we go to hold that 70-pound bow with 80% let off, it's going to feel that much easier, and you're going to be able to hold your pin that much steadier on your target for longer periods of time. You're going to be able to practice at the range for longer periods of time before you get fatigued. Because, you know, we all know once you start getting fatigued when you're at the range shooting your bow, you know, your groups spread out significantly, right?
Right. So basically, folks, we have a tool created by Matt that's going to help you whenever you have the time to build muscle memory, eye-hand coordination, and get steady, on your target. Is that correct?
Yep. Build your strength. You know, what you're doing is you're targeting the specific muscles with the specific motion, with a product that looks and feels and acts just like your bow and can do all that a bow can do besides fire arrows. And we're just going to build up all those physical tools and put together all the pieces so that the next time we go to shoot our bow, we're going to be that much more effective.
Interesting. How did you come up with this?
Well, Bruce, I mean, I've been shooting a bow since I was about 10 years old. I've also been an avid proponent of physical fitness since I was a young kid. So I've been working out. I've been shooting my bow for a long time now. And what I've noticed is my time in the gym, you know, just lifting weights, doing a bench press, this, that, whatever it may be, I never really felt like it was translating into me shooting better with my bow. So I put the two pieces together and thought, you know what if there's a way I could specifically target the same motion and everything involved in shooting my bow so that I can incorporate that training with the time that I spend shooting arrow after arrow. Because, you know, like I said, I've been shooting since I was 10, 15 years now. I've been going to the gym for maybe 10 years now. I still get fatigued when I'm shooting my bow at the range. I still feel like there's times when I'm not able to hold my pin steady enough on my target. And so what I'm saying is no matter how experienced you are with a bow, I think that there's always room to improve. Nobody is perfect. And what the AccuBow does is it allows you to try to reach for that perfection and be the best shooter and hunter that you can be.
So you take that, then you combine it with physical fitness. Now, have you always been interested in physical fitness, or is it something that's just come along with your archery?
No, you know, I would say that they were two separate entities. They were two separate hobbies of mine, you know. I was a bow hunter as one hobby, and then I enjoyed staying in shape and going to the gym as another hobby. And I've seen in other sports how important it is to incorporate specific targeted training with whatever sport it may be that you're involved with. And with the AccuBow, I'm really trying to generate an awareness of this concept of you need to improve your physical capacity to be the best bow hunter you can be. And you know, that this whole concept, it's getting more and more popular, I think, in the archery community. But I think the archery community is still years and years behind with this concept of, you know, just shooting your bow is not the only way that you can improve yourself as a bow hunter.
And I think of, you know, some of the people, we all know who Cameron Hayes is, but there's a lot of people out there that really have started to say, okay, here's a year-round program. Jeremy Krieger out of St. Louis does that, and he mentors people from all around the country and who want to get more efficient, want to get more sharp mentally. Because to me, when I'm sitting 8 hours in a stand during a rut, Buffalo County, it's tiring. It really is.
Oh, it's a mental grind, and I've been there before, so I know how it is. And here's the other thing, you know, when you're sitting for 8 hours and the time's going by, you're not seeing animals, you know, your muscles stiffen up, especially if you're in the cold weather. Man, if you're in the cold weather and you're sitting there for 8 hours and you're bundled up in your gear, you've just taken your normal shooting abilities, let's say in a perfect setting, 70 degrees indoor range, and you've put yourself at about a 50% disadvantage, I would say. So while you may be good in the perfect setting, you should strive to be even better than just good. Because when you're not in the perfect setting, that's when most times you're presented with the opportunity to kill the animal of your lifetime, right?
Yeah. So what kind of drills do you do? And do you have DVDs? Or talk to me about the physical fitness portion of your company.
Yeah, so, we've got all sorts of different workouts that you can do with the AccuBow. For example, if you're working at a lower poundage, say maybe the 10 to 40 pound range, this is when you're really focusing on your stability control and your stamina. I'm sure we've all been in a situation when we're bow hunting and an animal comes into range and you get that one opportunity where you have to draw back before that animal is going to see you, so you take that chance. But then that animal doesn't step into your shooting window for maybe what feels like 2 minutes or so. And by that time, you're shaking like a leaf, right? So, we can improve on that situation by really training with the AccuBow and locking in on our target for long periods of time, long intervals, say maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and really working on keeping that laser, let's say within a 2-inch target at 10 feet for the first week, and then let's say we move back to 20 feet the second week, and then maybe we shrink the target down to a 1-inch circle for the third week. So it's all about progression, really, in training with the AccuBow. Everyone's starting out at a different level. So what's nice about the AccuBow is it's very easily adjustable. So as you progress in your weeks of training, you can increase the poundage that you're training at with the AccuBow. You can reduce the target size. You can increase your distance. Throwing in all these different variables, there's so many ways you can switch up your training. And on our Facebook and Instagram pages, AccuBow's Facebook and Instagram pages, we post workouts weekly. Our weekly workouts to show everyone else what we're doing and to give people different ideas of how they can incorporate the methods that we're using into their own routines when they're training with their AccuBow.
So while you just mentioned that, let's tell people specifically how to get a hold of you, your names on all those social media platforms. Yeah.
So on Facebook, you can find us at just AccuBow, AccuBow, and our Instagram handle is the exact same, AccuBow, AccuBow.
And your website?
Our website is www.accubow.com.
Now, how many followers do you have right now, and how are you building your reach in social media?
Yeah, so we launched our social media pages probably in, I would say February or March. And our Instagram page is up to about 8,000 followers right now, and our Facebook page is up to about 11,000 followers right now.
Okay, so you have about 20,000 people who know who you are.
Yep, and it's really just being consistent with it and, posting something weekly and staying engaged with our followers. We're really big on staying engaged with our followers. If anybody posts a comment, a like, a share, anything, you can bet that we're looking at it, we're seeing it, we're responding to it. If anybody sends us a direct message, we're responding to it. And we just feel it's really important to stay engaged with our following. We know that there's a lot of questions out there because what we're promoting is somewhat of a new concept that we've kind of created on our own. The concept of being physically fit for a sport is not new, but the idea of how the AccuBow works and what we're trying to promote with it is relatively new. And so there's a bit of a learning curve and a bit of a challenge as well on our end to kind of convince people that this new concept of ours is actually effective and is something that we should all be doing as bow hunters and archers.
Interesting. What other things have you invented?
Well, I can't get into that right now, but we
I'll sign an NDA. I promise.
we are releasing some new things this fall, and for the year of 2017, we've got a few new products in the works, and so it's exciting, it's busy, but it's fun too. This is our passion, so this is what we love to do.
Now, do you go to ATA?
Yeah, actually, we were just at the ATA 2016 back in January. That was our first ATA show. That was really our debut to the national public. And God, man, those 3 days they were hectic, man. They were hectic. It was like it was exciting though, There was a lot of excitement, a lot of positive support and feedback from people. We had what was called the AccuBow Challenge set up, and we had probably about 500 people, I would guess, take that challenge throughout the 3 days. And I would say maybe only about 50 people were actually able to complete the AccuBow Challenge. And what it was just a 3-step course where people were asked to hold the AccuBow's laser on 3 different target sizes for 3 different amounts of time. And if they kept the laser within the target the entire amount of time, they completed the challenge. And so what this showed was what we really learned from this and what we had known the whole time was that, we had people that were big macho guys, probably pulling back 70 pounds, probably working out in the gym multiple times a week. And they took the challenge and probably didn't even make it halfway through. And then we had, females and teenagers and younger kids and people that were maybe smaller in stature. We had them take the challenge, and they were able to complete it. And so what that showed us was it's not how big you are. It's not how much you can put up on the bench press. It's how the specific muscles that you use in shooting with your bow, how well have you trained those, and that was really the main theory that we were able to prove, is that it doesn't matter how macho you think you are. The AccuBow will make you look silly if you really aren't prepared for what it offers you in your training. Okay. I tell you what. Let me say that again then. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the ATA show. We were at the ATA show this year, 2016, back in January. It was our national debut to the public and our first ATA show that we've attended as a company. And so, but it was. I'll say this: it was a hectic 3 days, man. There was a lot of excitement generated. Our booth was packed. I mean, there was a line out of our booth pretty much every day. With what we had set up was called the AccuBow Challenge. And what the AccuBow Challenge was we had 3 targets set up, different sizes, and you had to hold the laser with the AccuBow dialed in at 20 pounds of full draw resistance, and you had to hold the laser within each of the 3 target sizes for 3 different amounts of time. If you were able to keep the laser within the target for the whole amount of time, you completed the challenge. And so we had about 500 people, I would say, take this challenge over the course of the 3 days. And only about 50 people were able to actually pass the challenge. And with that, we noticed, we had people taking the challenge, big macho guys, probably lift a lot of weight in the gym and go to the gym regularly and all that, take this challenge and weren't able to pass. In fact, some of them didn't even make it halfway through. And then we had people that were younger, maybe females, teenagers, kids, take this challenge, and they were able to see it the whole way through. And what this taught us was, and what we've known the whole time in developing the AccuBow, is that it doesn't matter how big you are, how much weight you throw around in the gym, or how macho you think you are, or even how much poundage you're pulling back with your regular bow setup right now. What matters is how effective you are and how well you've trained the specific muscles used in shooting with your bow. Now, you could be pulling back 70 pounds right now, and that's fine and all. But in taking the AccuBow Challenge, you're going to learn quickly that maybe you have room to improve, or maybe you should even dial down that poundage to be more effective. And so, like I said, we had people that you wouldn't expect pass the challenge, or you wouldn't expect to pass the challenge, and they passed. And then people you thought probably would make it look easy didn't pass. And so it just doesn't matter what your mentality is about how well you think you can shoot right now, or how good you think you are, or how strong you think you already are. There's surely room to improve, and that's what we learned. And we're going to be attending the ATA again in 2017. We have twice as big of a booth this year. As we learned last year, we didn't have big enough booth for how many people wanted to come by and check us out. So that's a good thing, though. And so we're excited to show off some new things here in 2017 at the upcoming ATA show, and it's probably going to be even more busy.
Great. Let's tie it into, you explain what you're doing and how, in your mind, will it make every single deer hunter a better deer hunter?
Yeah, sure. So I think the most important thing that we have to be conscious of as bow hunters and hunters in general is preparing ourselves to be the best that we can be for when the time comes to make the shot. We know that we've done all that we can to ensure that we're going to put the best shot that we can on that animal. And that's important because, especially these days, we're seeing more and more pushback from anti-hunters. And if we're out there as bow hunters and hunters and we're not making good shots on these animals, we're not putting the best shots we can put on these animals, and we're wounding animals, that's just giving us a bad name, and that's giving those anti-hunters, the people that don't ever want us to hunt again, the people that want to take away this sport, that's our passion, it's just giving them fuel for their fire. And so we really need to be conscious about making sure that we're the most prepared that we can be. And I guess that would be my parting note for this podcast, because I think we've seen with the recent spearing incident, most hunters don't have any issue with that video or that incident itself. I personally do not. But what I will say is that we need to be conscious of that the mentality of the anti-hunter in what we promote as hunters and what we're out there doing in the field. And so let's not give them fuel for their fire, and let's make sure that however it is, whatever our method is of being the best hunters we can be, let's make sure that we're putting in the time and effort to prepare ourselves accordingly.
Well said. And on behalf of Whitetail Rendezvous across North America, and we just celebrated our first anniversary with 65,000 downloads on iTunes. So we're reaching the communities that we want to reach, and I'm so happy that Nancy Jo Adams had recommended you get on the show, because you shared some great information. You got a great resource to help people be better archery hunters. So thank you, Matt, for being on the show.
Thank you, Bruce. It was a pleasure, and I wish you all the best. Let me say that again. Thank you, Bruce, and thank you for your time and having me on Whitetail Rendezvous. And I wish you the best of luck. And if you ever want to do this again, just give me a shout.
I will. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bruce.
Make sure to tune into the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're going to do something and changing it up. We're going to visit with Steve Evat. Now, Steve has his own marketing agency, and what Steve does, he connects people who've got products, who've got stories, who've got something to share with the whitetail industry and outdoor industry in its largeness, and he connects them with writers and bloggers and people that want to test your gear. And Steve has a really great niche market. I met him through Nancy Jo Adams, and I think you're going to enjoy the show because it's going to help a lot of people who listen to the show bring some product to market. So stay tuned, folks. It's going to be a good one.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.